Hello and welcome to another episode of Glory of Golden State Gaming. I'm your host, Swimmer, and with me today, my round one opponent of the Atlantic City Open, Dan. Welcome to the channel. And Dan is also a founding member, one of the main members of Hobby Jerks, the other YouTube channel. Click the link in the description below. Dan, how you doing?
Thank you so much for the warm welcome. I'm doing great. Got to play a lot of Warhammer at ACO. I'm happy. I don't get to play anywhere near as often as I'd like, so anytime I can get away for a full weekend and just do gaming is it's a good weekend.
Of course, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I was a little worried about the tournament. There wasn't as big of a show up as I would have thought we were gonna get. We got 5 teams of 4, so we had to do a bye. So I was worried people would be upset about only playing 4 games over the weekend instead of 5. But everyone was super chill. I actually really ended up having a really great time at the tournament.
Yeah, it was nice and relaxing to have that bye.
Yeah.
I guess it depended on when you got timed, right? But if you had the first bye, you could just come in late. Or if you had the last bye, you could just chill out. And it was, I forget, we had ours.
Do you think you had 2? Because I played you round 1. I think it was 2. You had 2.
Yeah, I think you're right. Right, yeah, so we had a gap between 1 and 3. And it was cool. We just had a nice, got to have lunch. Didn't have to rush.
It ended up being really nice. So I don't know, maybe we should continue that in tournaments. I don't know. We'll see. But what I wanted to ask you, Dan, I ask everyone who comes on the channel, what is your Warhammer story? When did you start playing? What's your favorite army? Lay it on me.
Sure, yeah. So I've been playing Warhammer a long time. I feel like probably just about everybody got into it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Collected some models, didn't even know there were rules that went along with it. And then kind of forgot about it while I was a teenager and picked it up again. I think in college I got back into it. I was 18, 19. I had a college roommate who was into 40K. So we used to put a table on the kitchen table and just play it out. And then we started playing a little bit of fantasy in 6th edition. So we did I was 40K for a long, long time. Did a little bit of fantasy in college. Only played it for a couple of years and then gave up on it. And then I don't know, I want to say 10 years ago, tried to get into Kings of War, which was cool. It was after fantasy had ended, so Kings of War was kind of the thing that was trying to pick up all the fantasy players and pick up where fantasy left off. And I couldn't really find a lot of players where I lived, so I eventually abandoned it and went back to 40K. And then when Old World came out, I immediately jumped on this. I was waiting for this, following the rumors for the 2 years that they were trying to hype up. Jumped right in.
Rank and flank, it's where it's at. Yeah, when End Times happened, just the community completely fractured in 15 different pieces going to 15 different games, and I feel a good handful, a good chunk of those players are coming back slowly to the Old World.
Yeah,
but I'm excited to be here. So speaking of where the Old World is currently, so we just got the Beastmen, the Wood Elf, and Cathay Arcane Journals dropped, plus the match play, plus FAQ errata, a lot all at once. So we've got also information. We're trying to understand what the Old World's going to be like moving forward. Do you have any overall thoughts of how this game's going to play after all this change?
Yeah, well, it was weird, right? Because there was a long period of time, it was over the winter, right, where there was just nothing. It was a dead period, 3 months or something like that. Maybe even longer. And then suddenly we get all this flurry of content at the same time, which I like the timing of it because it comes with this new FAQ, which is version 1.5. It's almost a new version.
Basically.
Really different. So you kind of have some new books. You have a brand new army for the first time in...
How long?
Since Ogres? I don't know when they...
Ogres, I think? Yeah, I think you're right, Ogres.
Yeah, so new army, new Arcane Journals, and basically a new edition of the game. So it's everything's new again, right? So it's we're starting fresh, which is nice.
It's I don't know, in the edition 1, I think the core rules were really good for me, but balance is what really bothered me in tournament play. That's I think there's some steps there, some changes have been made, especially in the match play book. I haven't really dig really deep into the errata, the FAQ yet. But it's getting there, but do you think it's there yet?
So I didn't really have too much of an issue. Well, okay, I did have a little bit of issue with the balance. I would have loved to have seen points changes, make the stuff that's not good better and viable, and then tone down the stuff that is good. I think you could have fix most of the problems just by doing that. However, they went kind of a whole different route. They changed a lot of the core rules, and they tried to incentivize taking infantry. That's like a big thing now. Because not only do you have, in the FAQ, they changed things like you get extra combat res for having, well, you have to be unit size 10 to get close order. You get extra if you outnumber your infantry. You get fight at multiple ranks, and you get parry stuff. So there's like lots of reasons to take infantry now. But also in the match playbook, you've got all these new scenarios and secondary objectives where you have to have unit strength 10 to score them. And they're all like 200 points. So it's like, you can't just ignore it. And you basically have to take infantry to score it, or like really big cavalry units.
Yeah, that's the big thing is scenarios forcing people to take rank and flank, even though they're a little bit better. I don't know. Honestly, no one can really tell yet because it's gonna have to shake out in from a bunch of people playing this game. But I'm interested of where this game's going. I'm very interested.
Yeah, I like it because I mean they massacred the poison brick. That's just gone now. It's not viable.
It's done.
Fine. I don't think anybody's gonna be sad to see that. But dragons are still viable. Like they're
that's what I thought too.
Yeah, you have to use them in a different way. You can't just YOLO them at whatever you want and win every single combat ever. You're gonna get crushed by infantry. You can't. You have to have like a plan to deal with infantry, which is cool because now I think you're gonna see games be more about like positioning. No one's just gonna go in turn 1 or turn 2. It's gonna be like everybody's dancing around each other for 3 turns, kind of like old fantasy used to be. And then finally, like you crash into each other, and whoever kind of planned it out better wins.
Very true. It's very, very true. I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to my next tournament that's going to use all these rule changes. And I think that's going to be in Nova Open in August. I think that's what I'm going to do. Are you going to that?
I'm not. I've been to Nova, not for Old World, but I've been there. I was there at I actually won best overall the very first Nova at 40K. And then I stopped going for a while, and I went a few more times, like 6-7 years ago. But I've been there a bunch of times.
All right. Well, that's all very exciting, but we are talking about the Atlantic City Open, which is a team tournament in Atlantic City, which was, 2 weeks ago, something like that? And it's, let's get to the battle report.
My phone just fell down.
Okay, Atlantic City Open, Game 1, team tournament, teams of 4. If I remember correctly in the pairing process, you were your team's first drop. You were just out there. We're gonna take whatever comes our way.
Yeah, we actually had a plan, so we kind of did mock pairings against every single team to see like basically what members of our team are afraid of specific lists in the enemy team, and we tried to pair defensively. So basically the first part, because we only have 4 team members, so really you're not avoiding too many. If you have like in 40K they moved to like 8-man teams, so you can
well, in the big fantasy team tournaments they go 8-man teams also.
Exactly.
I think 5 is the right number, but
I also like
we were doing 4.
But we did 4, so you can't really avoid that many because eventually you get to the point where only 2 people left and they just automatically get matched. So really the only person who gets a real choice is the first drop. Basically, they get two choices or get to pick from 2 different lists, and they get to avoid the one that they really don't want. So if you have, like, I had one list on your team that I didn't,
and that's exactly what happened. The one list you didn't want to face was the Bretonnians, was Simon,
right.
and we knew that, and we're like, okay, are we gonna pair you into me or the Empire list? Both are not looking snazzy, and I was just like, whatever, I'll take it. We'll do it. We'll have fun.
Right.
And it was a special scenario. He called it Sacred Ground, but it was basically hold the 3 spots in the center of the board that start at the end of turn 2. You get like points for each.
Yeah.
For each turn, you hold each one of those.
It's like objective markers lined up in the center.
Yeah. So let's talk about my list really quick. This is not an optimal list, but it's fun. I really, really, really wanted to do a Great Bray Shaman, combat Great Bray Shaman. So if you look at the 310-point Great Bray Shaman, he has Gore Tusks, or Gouge Tusks, so he has 1 AP. The unit he's in has the Rust Totem, the Totem of Rust, so that's effectively 2 AP. And then he also has the Giant Blade. So he's sitting at 3 AP, multiple wounds 2, on demonology, so I can get +1 attack, and Mantle of Gorok, which is +D6 attack and strength. I think he's a fun guy. He's a fun little guy running around trying to kill characters and kill multi-wound things. He wasn't entirely successful, but he was really fun. And then I put him in the gore unit with a bunch of gore and my Beast Lord, who was basically there to be tough, give the unit slug skin, and to give me the reroll to ambush. Because the other thing I did was I ambushed a Bray Shaman level 2 Dark Magic Power Scroll Hag Tree Fetish with the BSB, who has the Poison Banner, with both those characters inside a unit of 25 Ungors with bows. So the idea was this unit ambushes, pops up on the weak side of the board, wherever that is, shoots poison, Hag Tree Fetish, Vile Tide, and Fireball. Like, the turn that they pop out. That was the whole idea there. I have to admit, this unit did pretty well in the tournament. It did some fun things. We'll get to them eventually. And then an ambushing unit of Minotaurs and 2 giant spawns of Chaos. And 2 piggies for chaff. What do you think of that list? I mean, it's off meta, right?
It's off meta for sure. And when I saw the combat shaman, I kind of wrote it off. I was like, oh, it's a wizard that's going to try and fight me. I'm not that scared of that. And then during the game, it's like, oh, and I get this buff and that buff and this buff, and suddenly it's strength 10. I'm like, what?
Because you roll Mantle of Gorok and hopefully you roll a 3, 4, or 5, and all of a sudden he's strength 10.
Right. So I totally underestimated him. And, granted, it didn't work out, but it definitely could have worked out.
Yeah, it definitely could have. But, oh man, he's fun. I think the idea of a super combat level 4 wizard is just such a fun idea that no other... I mean, warriors can kind of do it, but I think beastmen are the most suited to do it. So I think it's fun. Yeah,
beastmen, at least you get a T5 base wizard, right? I mean,
and they have base rerolling ones to hit, so it's like it makes sense for me in combat. Yeah. But let's jump to your list. I'd love for you to just start from the top, go down quickly. You don't need to read every line, but just tell me your thought process about what works together and where's the efficiencies.
Sure. So basically, the template here was kind of using Phil Carl's Double Dragon list, which he's kind of
course, Phil Carl.
Because this tournament, it's really important to understand that this tournament used the Mid-Atlantic FAQ, and had some comp restrictions that, like, what I originally wanted to play was like Mortuary Cult. I was thinking about doing kind of like what Eric's lists had been at Adepticon, where he ran like these 50 archers and 3 necrosphinxes, and basically just, you've got unstoppable spells with Mortuary Cult, so you're getting +3 to cast and everything. And I was kind of leaning towards that. But when, the Mid-Atlantic FAQ has the, what's now the actual version of TMP, where you have to be wholly within. And also you can't use the icon of Rakaf to like teleport and then change your whole formation and get like crazy distance out of it. A lot of the tricks that list depended on, and that Mortuary Cult depends on in general, don't really work with this combination of comp and FAQ. And so I swapped out to Double Dragon because we were talking with the team, and they're like, I think, under normal circumstances, both those lists have strengths and weaknesses, and they're on pretty even footing. But with this comp selection, the Double Dragon list is just far superior. So we just had to go with that as the basis. So, you have the Tomb King with the Armor of Ages on the Bone Dragon, with the Great Weapon. It's
that guy.
Talisman. He's just absurd. You cannot kill him in close combat. It just almost will not happen unless the stars align.
Yeah, exactly.
And then have the level 4 wizard also on a Bone Dragon, with the warding splints to also get the 5-up ward save. So they both have 5-up ward. They both have triple save dragons. You're sitting on a 6-up light armor with rerolling all wounds into a 5-up ward save, into a 5-up region on the Tomb King, and then you've got the 4-up plate mail with the 5-up warding save, and then a 5-up regen on the priest. So you've got 2 very, very hard dragons to kill. Now, granted, the priest is T5 on the dragon, so it's not quite as hard to kill. But most of the time, you're probably shooting poison arrows at it, so I don't really care about that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did they, in the FAQ, did they actually stop the multiple special saves, the ward save and the regen save?
No, that's still there.
Ah. All right,
They
continue with your
nerfed.
list.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll go. Yeah, we can talk about the FAQ. I can talk about the FAQ all night. So with the rest of the list, so where it deviates from Phil's list. So Phil takes like chariots to fill out his core. It has like the obligatory 10 archer brick. I also have some chariots here. I've got 3 chariots, but I also have a 50 poison archer block, and
Which
that
is so good.
Yeah, it's very good. This is a little bit more of like a skew list. I think that Phil's list is far superior in a singles format where you're just going to the GT. But I think in a teams format where I can avoid some bad matchups, I actually kind of like this version better, because if there's a heavy monster list on the opposite team, I can get paired into that. And I'll take a monster off the board every single time. Yeah,
you'll devour that. Yeah,
how a lot of my games went. I didn't face that many monsters, but when I did, I was just picking them up. So the 50 archers, I've got the mortuary priest joining that with the amulet of the serpent, poison attacks. He gets one spell, which is usually the one that lets me reroll ones to hit, which includes the shooting, so it makes it even more effective. Then I've got the 3 chariots. I've got the skeleton horseman archers, which are they were really just a scoring piece, because we had to have, I think, unit strength 6 or higher to be scoring in this.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
So that gives you the chariots, the horse archers, and the skeletons as scoring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the archers just kind of walked up and eventually claimed an objective, or maybe did it later in the game when it was over. The horse archers really just ran out and grabbed stuff when I needed them to, because they have reserve move, they can hide, they're very fast.
They are. And they're good. They're very maneuverable for undead.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I've got the other like cookie cutter parts of the list. I got the 2 scorpions, then 2 necrosphinxes. You know, the scorpions are kind of the utility pieces. They are absurdly good for their points, but they don't really tend to do too much. They usually die. Maybe I get lucky and get a monster slayer off or a killing blow, and that's kind of like the big threat, right? Like you can't ignore them.
But the point of them is not actually doing it. The point is just threatening to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You can't you have to stay out of their charge, because if I could get lucky, right? And I did, I think, once in this tournament and got, a ton of points off. And the necrosphinxes is the same way. They've got killing blow, they have one monster attack, and they just stomp stuff. They're too good.
Yeah, this list feels really good. It's basically 4 monster pieces: the 2 dragons, the 2 necrosphinxes, and then the big poison block, and then some other stuff just peppered around the rest of the list. It's exactly. It's scary, and plus, I'm just gonna say, your paint job on your army. I mean, chef's kiss. Mwah, it's really.
Thank you so much.
Really, really good. Let's jump into the game. How about that?
Yeah.
Let's see here. So this is deployment. I'm on the south side of the board here. You're on the north side of the board. I had very few drops, obviously, because I have a lot of ambushing stuff. I kind of center dropped the 2 piggies to the right, the 2 giant spawns on the left, and then my unit in the center. And then you kind of responded to me. Like, what was your thought process when deploying here?
You know what? I don't even really remember, because so to be honest, I hadn't played this list very much. I think I played it twice before the tournament, and I knew the general principle was to just row everything forward. But you also, you had the giant spawns, but otherwise not a lot of no monsters, right? It was just
those are the only monsters.
Yeah. So I knew I had to get the archers in position to do something about that, either through TMP or just being there to begin with. So that was kind of the idea, is I wanted to be able to shoot them as quickly as possible, and then use the dragons to ultimately, hopefully, hit you with everything I've got at the same time. That's generally how the list works. They try and just run over stuff.
Basically, if you get a multi-charge off on almost anything, it's going through it.
Yeah, there's very few things that can stand up to 2 dragons and 2 necrosphinxes.
Yeah. Because really my scoring is coming on ambushing, so I was thinking of just my 1 scoring unit that actually deploys is just going right down the center of the board, trying to take that center token or hold on to that center token. That was my only real thought in deployment. Let's see here. Ooh, we're gonna quickly go through this game terms. I'm just gonna speed through it until a very key decision point in this game, and I think that's really where the game came down to, and was the funnest part of the most fun part of the game. You won the first turn. You move up, and with your poison, I think magic and poison shooting, you get that giant spawn in the center down to 1 wound. I think it was
Yes,
a combination of magic and the poison shooting.
Yeah, I threw everything I had at it to try and knock that last one off. I couldn't make it happen.
Yeah, I realize he's dead after that, so I push him into the center of the board, trying to let you charge, and maybe he'll kill something on his way out. And then setting up some counter charges. I really couldn't push in the center because of your monsters coming down my right-hand flank. I was hoping that hill would guard me a little bit. Didn't end up happening. But here's where the fun happens. In your turn, you go for the charge into my pig with your general on the dragon. I flee. You redirect into the giant spawn in the center board with 1 wound left, and you fail your charge.
Yeah.
So this leaves my monster killing character in the gore unit with a flank charge into your general, and it was an opportunity I couldn't turn down. I couldn't say no to that.
Yeah.
I mean, we math hammered it out afterwards, and really the odds aren't that great of me spiking. And I was hoping to, even if I didn't kill you in 1 round, I was hoping you wouldn't kill me, and I would have a second round of swing on you, and then maybe I could kill you. That was my thought. Because I'm toughness 5 with 3 wounds to weapon skill 4 or 5. I'm -1 to hit, and I've got a 5-up ward save. I was thinking I could stand up to you. Probably not good odds. It all comes down to the stomp, really.
Yeah, and you know that's the problem with these big monsters, and the reason why they can, well, prior to 1.5, they just crush infantry units, because you can stack all the debuffs you want, all the -1 to be hit. It doesn't matter if you roll 6 stomps and you get 6 combat res at the very end of it. You still win in combat, but now that doesn't work like that.
So yeah, I take the charge. Blammo, I make it. I take. Also, I was trying to do this even better. I took the charge of the giant spawn into your. I'm sorry. You charged the 1 wound left spawn with your scorpion, killed him. Yeah. I countercharged him with the other spawn, hoping to overrun into the dragon just to give me a little bit more combat res. Mm-hmm. I do it. I swing. I think I got Mantle of Gorok off, but nothing else. And I rolled a 4. So that wizard was strength 10 with, I think, 6 attacks, re-rolling 1s to hit. Multi-wound 2. AP 3.
That's where I got scared. Because, like, okay.
That made you sweat for a second.
I know, multi-wound is scary. Multi-wound strength 10 is really scary, because my whole defense is the Armor of Ages. And if you're winning on 2s, who cares if you're rolling? You're still getting almost all of them through.
Yeah. And the final result is I get 2 wounds through, which multiplies into 4 wounds total.
Yeah.
And I push you back 2 inches. And then my gigantic spawn, which I was hoping to overrun in the flank of you, you rolled that 6 with that monstrous killing blow.
I did. Yeah, I think that was the only time I got a killing blow or a monster slayer in the tournament, actually.
Well, I'm happy to hand that to you. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
My ambushers, I bring on the shooty ambushing unit with the Vile Tide and everything on the bottom right there, trying to take off one of the Necrosphinxes. Doesn't do it. I think I got unlucky there. I think odds-wise, I do kill a Necrosphinx with with the poison shooting, the Vile Tide, and the Ruby Ring, but didn't happen.
That was a really good play, and in fact, that really surprised me too. I was certain you were going to come like behind me, but where you came in was much better, and I actually didn't even see it as like a possibility. But that's where you should have come in. You should have killed that Necrosphinx. Like on odds, like it was just an outlier that you didn't. I forget. Either I rolled hot or you didn't roll well on something. I forget why. It just didn't work out. But like odds are, you I don't know what the odds exactly are, but you definitely should have been competent in killing that.
So like when I won the combat with the dragon, I realized you were still facing the other way, so you couldn't charge me back in your turn. So I chose to restrain pursuit, turn and face the Necrosphinxes, hopefully kill one with my ambushing unit, and I could take that charge. But that didn't happen.
I think the ambushing unit it's 25, right? In the 25 Ungors?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's either the unit's too small or you need Plague of Rust. You need like one or the other, right? Like 25 Plague of Rust will do it. I mean, just to give you that extra security, like guaranteed.
It's true. I rolled him in the level 2 ambushing level 2 Bray Shaman into dark magic because I was hoping he'd roll into the frenzy spell, which I can then use on the minotaurs. But guess what? The whole tournament I never rolled that spell. It's just when you're level 2, you can't rely at all on picking up one singular spell without having the lore familiar. So we're gonna breeze through the rest of this game. It all collapses from here. You like quadruple charge my main block unit. I actually fight you off for a little bit.
Yeah, it took a couple turns, a couple rounds of combat.
But you circle everything else around. I bring on the minotaurs on my my board edge to pressure the center again. But you just grind me down and eventually destroy my main bunker. And then all of a sudden your 2 dragons are facing my shooty unit. And it's all over from there. Let's just get all the way to the end of the game. That gives you, and the way the scoring system they did here, a 17-3, because you max out in points. You did, what, like almost 1,900 more than points than me. And then you got the secondary also, so that puts you on a 20-3. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, so, I mean, that... Like, it was a very favorable matchup for me in general. Like, I don't know what else you really could have done.
Well, I was thinking about it too. I think the only other option I had was to just castle in the corner and not give some points. I mean, you still make it to me,
right? Like then you're giving, like you're giving up. You're basically saying I'm going to lose, but I'm going to lose by less than I would if I try and fight you head on, which is a possibility. But I like that. I mean, the fact that you did go for it, that turn when I messed up the charge, or when I failed the charge, like that was probably the right play, right? Like if you're going to do something, that's when it's going to happen. And I was afraid it was going to happen because not only could you have spiked with the multi-damage, you were getting a ton of combat runs because you're charging me in the flank with an infantry unit. If you had gotten a few more wounds through, then that coupled with the combat res, I very well could have died there.
Well, now that I think about it, if one more wound would have gone through, how many wounds does that dragon have?
9.
Oh no! If I would need to get 2 more wounds through to make you crumble.
Because you won combat, right?
Yeah, I definitely won combat.
Crumble? I can't remember.
I think you crumbled like 1.
Yeah, maybe by 1. So if you've done
crumble,
2 more,
I did 4. That crumble 1, 5, and then 9. Oh yeah. Yeah, if I would have if one more wound had gone through, that would have done 2 wounds, and it would have crumbled you 2 more.
Right.
I would have won if one more wound had gone through. So it actually was much closer than I thought it was. Yeah. I took my shot, and also that's and really that's half the fun of, or what makes team tournaments so much better than singles tournaments, is because I took the hit for the team and I played your really, really tough as nails list. But trying to squeeze points out or trying to go for that crazy play, either way you play it, it's still fun because you're trying to preserve points for your team to maybe win the whole match. Right. Team tournaments are great.
I love team tournaments too. It's my favorite way to play Warhammer. Like, I didn't even know my teammates coming into this. I was kind of like the mercenary that they recruited as their 4th man. But it was awesome. Like, I got to meet new people. It felt like I knew these guys. Like, it felt the same way I used to play. I used to go to, what's the big team tournament out in Tennessee, 40K?
I don't know. I haven't played 40K since I was in elementary school, to be honest.
They do a huge one there where it's like, I don't know, 400 or 500 people playing.
Yeah.
So we used to go to that every year, and it felt just like that. It's awesome. It's the best way to play Warhammer.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun. I'm much more of a tournament player, not because I'm like highly competitive, but just I love the experience of traveling somewhere, spending a whole weekend gaming as much as I can, and then go home and go back to my regular life.
Yeah, I like it because you just get to play 40K. Like, you just immerse yourself in 40K, or not 40K, in Warhammer in a weekend. Like, you just do that for 2 days. It's awesome.
So what's your next tournament? Do you have one planned?
I don't get to do these too often. This is my 2nd tournament ever in Old World, so...
Ever?
The one last year in like May.
Well, 2 things then. One, I'm going to go to Nova Open, as I said. I'm probably going to try to go to the Las Vegas Open in October. Nice. But you are like kind of near me. We should do some collab. Maybe I come down and can play in your live stream. I would love to do something with you anyone watching, please check out the Hobby Jerks.
Thank you. Yeah, Hobby Jerks on YouTube. But yeah, we should definitely do something. I did something last November. I had like 7 guys come over. We did like a mini RTT in my basement because I can set up the 4 tables here. And maybe I'll do that again. Get some new guys in, and we'll get some games together.
What I'm looking forward to is finding a tournament setup that has some sort of narrative or story element to it also. I think that's my favorite thing, like a campaign, but mixed with a tournament. I still haven't found the right way to do it yet, but I'm like, that's the holy grail for me.
Do they do that at Nova? I know they do since the very beginning of Nova, they used to do one for 40K. I know I'm talking about 40K, but they used to do a 40K narrative event specifically. Yeah. I don't know if they do it for Old World.
This year they have, on Thursday, they have a 3,000 point tournament, 1-day tournament. On Fridays, a doubles tournament, and then the grand tournament over the weekend.
You ever gone to Adepticon? I feel like that would be something Adepticon.
I went this year.
Oh, how was it?
It was fun. It was fun. It was the first year they did it in Milwaukee. You see like just every YouTube wargaming personality on the internet is there, and you're like, I know that guy. It was really fun. It was good times. I had 5 really great games. Even though I brought Lizardmen, and I was trying my best to unrenegated Lizardman, and I ended up being the best Lizardman player at the tournament, but there was only 2 of us, so it wasn't that good of an achievement.
But hey, you still did better than the other guy, right?
True. Well, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're still watching. And Dan, I'll see you soon.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This is great.
Damn Tomb Kings.